Welcome to another segment of ACRPtv. Today we're looking at a day in the life of a CRA. It's part of our special series, an ongoing series looking at some of the different workforce areas in this extremely complicated and interesting workforce area of clinical trials. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of people doing a lot of different things. So we're going to be talking to different subsets of that population, if you will. Today we've got with us Kelly McLaughlin, who's a CRA with Merck. Kelly, I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's jump right in. Now, if you could talk about what a CRA is in the big picture, and then maybe burrow down a little bit to a typical day for you as much as you can do that. I know there's a lot of variety and a lot of things going on. And I see a cat. That's beautiful.
You're flexible.
There you go.
Working from home. So what a CRA is a clinical research associate, and I'm an associate clinical research associate. So I'm more on the entry level side currently. And what we do, we are the primary site contact for universities or hospitals or sites conducting clinical research. So our day-to-day changes, and what we look at is helping support the sites run the trial on their end. So whether that's questions about inclusion or exclusion, protocols, things of that nature, and then also just monitoring the safety of the patients. And then on our back end, we want to run a lot of reports to meet our deliverables. So making sure documents are up to par, in standard with good clinical practice. And that ranges between starting studies, maintaining studies, or closing out older studies.
So how did you get into this field? How did you become a CRA or a CC?
My route probably isn't the most traditional, but I feel like a lot of people find it in a non-conventional way. So I used to work as an exercise physiologist in a hospital, and I eventually needed to transition into a position that had more steady hours in something that I was interested in, and I've always enjoyed research. And so the hospital that I worked for had position opening, and I applied for it. And so I've started working in research as a research coordinator, and primarily in oncology. And then I've developed some really good relationships with CRAs while I was a coordinator. And I was interested in that position because there's so many doors that open with this position. And so I applied. I actually applied to a job I knew I did not qualify for. So I applied for a senior position because I live in Montana and there aren't very many research professionals in this area. And what actually ended up happening was several months later, Merck sent me an email stating somebody at Merck feels like you would be good for this position, which is the associate position. So I applied for it. And then they've been teaching me ever since, and I'm starting to do my journey as a CRA.
That's fantastic. And I got to tell you, I ask a lot of people how they got into this field, and yours makes more sense than most. Yours is more traditional because there's so many strange ways people get into this field. Yours is actually one of the, in a good way, one of the more conventional, makes sense kind of approaches.
Well, that's good. At least I felt like it was abnormal, but very rewarding approach.
So speaking of rewarding, what about being an ACRA is rewarding to you?
Going from helping patients directly or coordinating patients directly, it's rewarding to be able to help on a larger scale. So whether that's you're supporting the site staff that now directly help patients, and providing, helping with ensuring that there's a safe environment and providing treatments that otherwise people may not receive. Living in a rural area more so, it's pretty neat to be able to be a part of providing treatments that of somebody in a larger city can receive too.
Now, as part of this series, we're also asking people such as yourself, what you would say to somebody in high school, college, early level career, or even someone maybe thinking about making a career change. But what would you say to somebody who is maybe just starting to hear now, maybe because of COVID, they're hearing about clinical research, they don't know much about it, but maybe they're intrigued by the career. What kind of things would you tell them to investigate?
For the younger ones, whether they're in school, high school, or college, try to get involved in university with your professors, be involved in research, understand good clinical practice, and that can be from a lot of research classes, start teaching you that. And getting involved in even in something like LinkedIn. There's tons of sponsors, research organizations, people like ACRP that provide a lot of information for you to learn from, and then you're able to start connecting. And obviously, I guess I would suggest apply, even if it's entry level. You can get your foot in the door and start learning, or apply when you didn't qualify for the job and you still get your foot in the door and start learning. So
aim high, apply for something.
yeah.
It worked out for you. So, I mean, and I imagine you would enthusiastically encourage people to check out this career because you kind of like your job, I sense.
Yes, definitely.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate your time here, Kelly. It's been so nice talking with you about being an associate CRA. This has been our ACRP TV, and we've been focusing on different areas of the clinical research workforce. We've been talking here with Kelly McLaughlin, who is an ACRA with Merck. Kelly, again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.